You're about to unlock one of the most dangerous moves a man can make and the only one that actually works. Not some tactic you read in a comment thread. Not some line you spit when she pulls away. This is something deeper. Something ancient. You disappear not to punish, not to provoke, but to rebuild. You go dark, not for effect, but for transformation. Because the only man she dreams about is the one she can't quite grasp anymore. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to become him. The truth is, you've been too available, too responsive, too obvious. She's learned the rhythm of your need, and now you've become predictable, safe, soft, seen through, and in a strange twist of female psychology, the more clearly she sees you, the less clearly she feels you. That's the part no one tells you, because clarity kills desire when the mystery is gone. You gave her your soul in screenshots, your heartbeat in real-time responses, and all she had to do was scroll. No friction, no space, no silence. So here's the shift. You vanish. 1 week. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in total stillness. Not a flinch, not a breadcrumb, not even a sigh on your Instagram story, because you're not trying to provoke a reaction, you're preparing for ascension. The kind that rewires your energy, your mind, your presence. You don't go off grid to teach her a lesson. You disappear because you're finally building something worth returning to. And here's what she'll feel first: confusion, then quiet, then the ache of your absence. But only if your disappearance is real. She's seen 1,000 guys vanish for ego. She's seen men sulk in silence, hoping she notices. But when you disappear, not to be missed, but to become unmissable, the game changes. Because her memory starts filling in the silence with imagination. And imagination is 10 times more powerful than presence. You're no longer just the guy who texted good morning. You become the ghost in her mirror, the flash behind her eyelids when she wakes. The question she can't answer: where did he go and why doesn't he need me anymore? Let's make one thing clear. This only works if it's backed by substance. You can't just cut contact and spend the week binging TikTok in a hoodie. That's not mystery. That's avoidance. The man she dreams about doesn't just disappear. He returns transformed, hardened, focused, still. Like he met a god in the desert and returned without fear. It starts day 1. You wake up and there's no message to check. No dopamine ping. Just silence. It's loud, almost unbearable. Your hands twitch. You want to see if she's posted, if she's online. You want to signal any signal that you still exist in her mind, but you don't check. You breathe, you sit in the ache, and you start to build. You take your energy back from her phone and pour it into your body, into your mind, into every neglected discipline that fell apart while you were orbiting her attention. You lift like your bones need it. You read like it's war. You walk like your shadow matters again. Because here's the brutal truth most men never face: you were never abandoned. You were just slowly emptied. So you start reclaiming, not her, but yourself. She was never the source, she was the mirror. And the mirror stopped shining the moment you forgot your shape. This week is about rebuilding that shape. Through pain, through silence, through goddamn repetition. She starts to notice in the spaces you used to fill, in the stories she tags, waiting for a reply that doesn't come, in the meme she sends, unread, in the conversation with her friends when your name slips out but there's no new update to report. The line goes dead. And that's when the myth begins. Because every woman builds a fantasy when the script changes. She starts guessing, filling in blanks, creating versions of you in her mind, stronger versions. Versions that don't need her anymore. That's when desire returns. When you are no longer accessible, but possible. And possibility is the birthplace of obsession. And don't confuse this with game. This isn't some manipulative gimmick. This is you finally breaking the pattern. Because every time before, when you felt her drift, you chased, you over-explained. You tried harder, and every time, it only made her colder. Because chasing is the confession that you think she's worth more than you. And the moment you confess that imbalance, you've already lost. So this week is sacred. You don't reach out. You don't watch her stories. You don't half disappear while secretly hoping she texts first. You vanish entirely. Not because you're angry, but because you're becoming. And here's the part she'll never admit that transformation scares her. Because if you really do become the man you were supposed to be, there's no guarantee she still qualifies to stand beside you. And deep down, that's what makes her dream. Now we enter day 3. Something strange starts to happen. The silence that used to hurt begins to feel like power. Not because it numbs you, but because it sharpens you. You start noticing how much of your identity was tied to her responses. How your self-worth spiked every time her name lit up your phone. And now that it's gone, you feel the tremor underneath your skin, that addiction breaking. That hollow space where approval used to sit now becomes ground zero for self-command. You wake up earlier. Not to prove a point. Not to become more attractive. But because the man who's moving on his mission doesn't need a reason to rise. You start dressing better just for yourself. Your workouts become violent prayers. Your eye contact with strangers lasts longer. You walk into places like you belong there because you finally understand your energy is no longer up for auction. And here's where she starts to feel it. Not see it. Feel it. The air shifts. Your absence isn't just noticeable, it's magnetic. She might not text. Not yet. But she'll circle. Quietly. She'll post things that used to make you comment. She'll wear that dress in a story. She'll like something she knows you'll see if you happen to check. But you don't. Because you're not a scavenger anymore. You don't feed on crumbs. You're becoming the feast. Now imagine this. She's lying in bed. Phone in hand. It's midnight. She scrolls her gallery back to the night you kissed her in the rain. Or the morning light spilled over your face when you were still asleep. And for the first time in weeks, she wonders, what if I was wrong about him? She thinks you're out there, maybe with someone new, maybe in silence, but not in sadness. And that image alone haunts her. Because here's the dark truth. Most men never realize women don't regret losing a man who begged. They regret losing the one who never came back. And that's your edge. Because you're no longer standing still. You're not refreshing messages. You're not asking mutual friends what she said. You're building your world, alone. And the more you build, the smaller her old version of you becomes. It starts collapsing, eroding, dying. And in its place rises something harder, something cleaner, something real. But here's the trap you must avoid. Don't return too early. The moment you reach out because you miss her, you reset the whole myth. You remind her you were just pretending, that the transformation was for her, and just like that, the fantasy dies. She needs to chase the mystery, not the man who gives updates. And here's the hardest part, you might not want her back. You might get to day 7 and realize the only reason you ever held on was because you were afraid of the silence. But now you've survived it. You've thrived inside it. And when a man can sit in that silence without reaching for rescue, he becomes dangerous. Because now she doesn't just remember you. She feels the loss of something she can't replace. A presence. A power. An unspoken standard that no man around her currently holds. And when she does reach out, if she does, it won't be casual. It will carry weight. She'll feel the need to earn her way back in. Because now, you don't bend. You don't negotiate for love. You don't ask to be chosen. You choose yourself. And that's when the dynamic reverses. Not because you forced it, not because you played tricks, but because you became a man whose energy is expensive. And the world around you, including her, starts to pay attention. You disappear. Not as a boy who's hurt, but as a man who's rising. And when you return, you don't explain. You don't overshare. You don't ask what she thought while you were gone. You just are calm, composed, alive, and suddenly, the only man she dreams about is the one who no longer dreams about her. By day 5, something clicks. You stop counting the days. Not because you forgot her, but because you remembered yourself. The game has shifted from how do I get her attention to how far can I go without needing it? That's a man's real edge, his capacity to become something unrecognizable without permission. You're no longer waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Every rep you grind through, every hour you put into your craft, every thought you don't share at all builds this new version of you that doesn't crave the spotlight. He is the spotlight. And here's the paradox. The more you detach, the more they sense you. You're not loud. You're not bitter. You're not flashy. But you walk like you carry something heavy. Something hard-earned. You carry yourself. You carry your time like it's sacred, your attention like it's a weapon. And when she senses that her body reacts before her mind does, she may not understand why, but she'll feel it. In her gut. In the pause before she answers a message. In the way she rereads your old texts. The silence isn't just echoing now, it's calling her. But you're somewhere else. You've become emotionally bilingual. You know how to love deeply without losing center. You know what it's like to crave her without chasing. That balance. It's rare. Most men are either needy or numb. Either begging for crumbs or pretending they never cared. You're done with both. You've built a third path, the path of sovereign attraction. The kind of presence that says, I am whole. Come closer if you want. Leave if you must. But I remain. That kind of presence haunts women. Because it's not dependent. It's not performative. It's magnetic. And here's where it gets dark. She'll start testing you. Not directly. Not out of cruelty. But because she needs to know if what you built is real. Maybe she sends a casual message. Maybe she likes an old post. Maybe she accidentally runs into you. This is where most men crumble. They flinch. They break the silence too soon. They take the bait. But not you, because you've seen what you're made of now. You've touched the edge of your own solitude and realized it's not empty. It's full of raw power. You don't rush to reply. You don't rearrange your schedule for a coffee. You don't soften your new edges to make her comfortable again. Because this time, she needs to earn your presence. You're not punishing her. You're honoring yourself. You know how rare your focus is, how heavy your silence became, how deep your gaze now cuts. That's the man who walked out on day one. That's the man who returns not to ask for love, but to choose where to give it. And even if you never see her again, you win. Because the real gain wasn't in getting her back. It was in reclaiming your center, your fire, your standard. Now she dreams of you, not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't. She remembers your voice, but it's the silence after that echoes. She remembers your eyes, but it's the new look in them, the one that no longer pleads, that makes her breath catch. You became the one who vanished and didn't beg to be found, and that man becomes unforgettable. By day 7, the mirror stops lying. You look at yourself and, for the first time in a long time, there's no question mark hanging behind your eyes. You're not wondering who you are without her. You're not half alive, waiting for validation to bring color back to your world. You see a man, not a boy trying to impress someone. Not a puppet performing for affection, but a man who walked through his own fire and came out clean. You feel dangerous again, but not reckless. Calm, grounded, untouchable. And now, she reaches out. It might be a hey with a smiley face, or a song link she knows you'd like. Something small, harmless. Harmless on the surface, but underneath. It's trembling. It's the tip of a thread she's praying you'll pull. Because she needs proof. Not that you still love her, but that you're still available. That the door she closed didn't lock behind her. But you hesitate. Not out of spite. Not out of ego, but because now you actually don't know if she fits the man you've become. And that's the shift no one tells you about. This journey was never about getting her back. It was about getting you back. The version of you who wasn't negotiating for love. The version who didn't wait for permission to matter. The version who didn't apologize for wanting more. And now that you've met him again, you're not sure she deserves access. So you read the message and put your phone down. Not because you're playing games, but because you have a life to live, and she's no longer the center of it. You respond when you mean it. You speak when there's something worth saying. And when you do meet again, if you choose to, you don't rush into her arms like some saved soul crawling home. You walk in like a man who has seen death and didn't flinch. You sit across from her, and suddenly she's fidgeting. Her voice is a little higher. Her eyes scan your face, searching for the boy she used to command. But he's gone. You burned him. You buried him. And now she's looking at something harder, sharper, real. She tells you she missed you, that she thought about you, that something felt off without you. You nod. Not because you're playing cool, but because the storm that used to rage inside you at her words, it's gone. She's not the center anymore. She's an option, a possibility, not a prize. You ask about her life, and you actually listen. Not to figure out how to win her back, but to decide if she still qualifies, if her soul still speaks to yours, if she's grown in your absence, or if she's still standing in the same place, hoping you'll come rescue her from the emptiness she created. Because now you don't fill voids. You build kingdoms. She senses it. She might smile. She might cry. She might try to play it cool. But deep down, she knows you're not hers anymore. She had you when you bent, when you bled out vulnerability in hopes of being chosen. And now that you no longer need to be chosen, you are by yourself, by life, by the quiet echo of your own strength. And she'll dream of you now. Not because you made her feel seen, but because you disappeared without warning and came back as legend. You don't get her back by waiting. You get her back by never needing her again.